guys. So, a little bit emotional tonight. I just finished watching an episode of Chicago Fire. Can't remember what episode I'm up to, but I'm towards the end of season 5, and one of the characters' girlfriends just died of cancer, and it hit home quite a lot with me after Mum passed from cancer. And so I thought that I'd do a bit of like a story time and talk about Mum, so you guys get to know sort of who she was as a person a bit more, and sort of more of her cancer story, spreading awareness type thing. So Mum was diagnosed with stage 4 bowel and liver cancer August 2018, and the doctors were very optimistic with their treatment course plan. I was told that she was going to see me graduate. That didn't happen. She only fought a year and a bit. It wasn't even that long of a fight. She then died October 2019, so 2 years ago now. That we're 2021. This coming week is going to be 15 months, I think, since she did pass. I still have my good and bad days. Still in very much denial of, that she's gone. I still believe that she's gonna walk through our front doors again, and that I will see her, but I know that I won't. But yeah, her original diagnosis was that she was pregnant. At first I thought when she went in with pain, it was sort of like appendix or gallbladder. They thought she had like a bit of like a gallbladder infection, and I was freaking out over if she was needing surgery from that. How could she live without a gallbladder? And all it was dietary changes. And after they did scans and blood tests, and it didn't come back as that, the blood tests that they did showed that she was pregnant. And now I would have rather dealt with a screaming baby in the house than this. Mum said that she would have rather, gone through a whole pregnancy and had a newborn than deal with the cancer and the chemo. But I knew, I had this gut feeling that I knew that it was cancer from the moment they told me she was pregnant, because I knew she wasn't pregnant. The funny thing was that it took me back to a Hemorrhoid episode that we watched donkeys years ago now, where one of the characters first thought she was pregnant, and it turned out that she had cancer. So I went in and told Mum that, and she also knew that she wasn't pregnant, so we kept questioning the doctors, and they said, they weren't convinced, but they agreed to do a CT scan, and within 24 hours of having that CT scan, she was under the knife, having 50 centimeters of her bowel removed. And while they were in there, they found that it had already spread to the liver, and there is no cure for liver cancer. So I was told that if they'd found it sort of 3 weeks earlier, that it could have been a very different story, whether or not she would have had longer with us, or whether or not it could have meant it was just still in the bowel, and that they could have just contained it to the bowel, which meant she possibly could have been, she would have gone into remission. We would never know, because that never happened. straight away she basically, after her operation, started chemo. She had a port, it's a special device placed under the skin that connects up to the main artery, and that's how they administrated the chemo. She went in Tuesday, had about 4 hours of chemo, would come home with a little sort of bottle with chemo in it that would pump through her system over sort of 48 hours, and then she would go back Thursday and have that disconnected from her. And then she would have like I think a couple of days off. And obviously depending on her levels, you know, her numbers and everything, she had to have iron infusions many times because her iron and red blood cells were too low. Sometimes she couldn't have chemo. They put her onto a trial drug which actually worked. Her numbers got really low and it was looking very positive for a while. And then the last thing that I was told was that the new drug was working and that, you know, Mum still was really sick. She was still in and out of hospital a lot, but her chemo numbers were really low and the cancer markers were dropped by thousands, and they'd never seen such good results before on the drug. So I thought that we had a really good fighting chance with her, even if it meant, you know, she only had a couple more years with us. At least that's, you know, years. Instead we only had months. Mum liked to hide stuff a lot from me. I could always pick up and things like that. Then the oxygen levels started to drop, and that was sort of the starting signs of her coming to the end. Her oxygen levels dropped, and so she ended in back up in the hospital, also in more pain, so she was put under oxygen. And then when she finally, the nurses and doctors agreed to send her home, she had to be on oxygen 24/7. That was the hard part, seeing her, because that meant we couldn't travel, we couldn't fly anywhere. We were trying to book a holiday around that time to get away and have that last family time together, but we couldn't travel with the condition that Mum was in. Then last time she came home, it was really rough for me and for everyone involved. I, being sort of the kind, caring person I am, I would help out Mum a lot. I would always make sure she has her medications and tablets on time, that she would eat, that she always had enough fluid, that, you know, she was warm enough, or she was too hot. You know, I was constantly checking on her. I would help dress her, bath her and everything like that. So when Saturday morning, I got her up. She seemed fine. We took her to the shower and she insisted. She was so stubborn. Everybody says I take after her in that sense. Took her to the shower and she insisted on not wearing the oxygen in the shower. And so Dad goes, yeah, okay, that's fine, you know, she won't be in there that long. So I put her in the shower and, okay, you're right, you've got everything, let the shower door open. I went and cleaned up the house. The house was a little bit of a mess anyway, because I'd only just got home from hospital myself, so Dad and Jay hadn't exactly made the house the cleanest, so I was around wiping down the kitchen and, you know, taking every precaution possible. And yeah, I went back, it was, I don't know, 45 minutes, an hour later, thinking, oh, Mum's taking a very long time in the shower, she hasn't called out for help or anything, I better go and check on her. And she was out of it. She couldn't talk to me. She was trying to communicate, but she couldn't get what she was wanting, like her message across to me. I couldn't understand her. She was so weak. I ended up going and getting Dad, and I said, Mum's not okay, that I need some help, with the shower. And Dad comes up and we get her dried and dressed and sit her into her recliner chair and put the oxygen back on her, and Dad goes, maybe that she was just off the oxygen sort of for too long, let the oxygen get back up to sort of to her brain. And she never recovered from that. She only proceeded to decline over the next Saturday, Sunday, Monday. She slept the whole time, didn't eat, wasn't drinking. We called the nurse multiple times, the palliative care nurse, and she said that, it's always exhausting for patients to come home, but I just knew that something wasn't right. Mum's side of the family were sort of always over, like, in the end, we never got sort of alone family time with her. It was really hard for me to see her like that. I just felt so helpless, there was nothing that I could have done. And so, Dad took me to school Tuesday morning, and in the car he goes, Mum isn't coming home from hospital, she was be prepared that this is going to be the end. And I walked into school that morning and burst into tears as soon as I walked into the classroom. I couldn't keep it together for very long. Everybody kept saying that, don't think negatively, your mum will fight this, but like, you didn't see her, you haven't seen her. Last time that Mum was home before she was transported back to hospital that Tuesday, I was arguing with her because she wouldn't take her tablets or eat, and I ended up walking out that door angry at her because she refused to eat and refused to take her tablets. And Dad's like, it's okay, I'll do with it when I get home, but I was just so mad. And that was the last conversation, the last time that she was actually conscious, and her mind was there. I feel really guilty about that. I hate how that went. And then the next few days I wasn't attending school at that point, so I was, every spare moment I was at the hospital with her. But she slept the whole time. She wasn't Mum. She could hear. She would be awake for short periods of time. She was paralysed down one side. They said that the cancer was just everywhere by that point. It was in her brain, and that's all what was causing the paralysis. Could barely talk. It was awful. Like, half the time, they'd have the door open and I'd sit just outside the room so I could still see Mum, but I wasn't in the room with her. I was always too scared to touch her. She was so fragile anyway. But yeah, I just didn't like seeing her like that, but I wanted to be there with her. And then Saturday came round and Jay had a basketball game, and at that point our family were doing different shifts, morning, afternoon and night shifts. So someone was always with Mum just in case, because we never knew. We got told she could have days, she could have weeks, she could have months. We didn't know. So we had a morning shift before we take Jay to basketball, so we relieved one of my aunts from the hospital so she could go home and get some sleep. So we went in and had breakfast in there and got lunch at that point before we took Jay to basketball. My nana came in to relieve us. And they were like, do you want to go to basketball with Jay, or do you want to stay here with your mum? And it was full on seeing her like that. And so they said, like, we don't blame you if you want to take a break. So I went to a basketball game with Jay. And after literally his game finished, when Dad got the phone call to say that we needed to get back to the hospital, that she had minutes left, literally. So we rushed back. She walked in the door. Dad had a quick word with Jay and I and said, do you want to go into the room? Do you want to wait outside? It's totally up to you kids what you want. She's your mum. She loves you. So Jay said he didn't want to go in. He didn't want to see her. But Mum meant everything to me. She was my best friend. There was no words, to lose her. I couldn't bear it. And I said that I wanted to go in. I wanted to be able to say my last goodbyes. I wanted to thank her for everything she's done for me. I wanted to tell her I love her for the last time, because my words before I left the hospital to go to Jake's basketball game, I'll be back soon, because I thought I'd be able to see her again. That was the last time I saw her alive. I went to follow Dad into the room, and Mum's family were already in there. The doctor was outside, and they didn't allow me in the room. So I told Dad to go in because I wanted at least someone from our family to be with her, to hold her hand. And so Dad went in, and he really took her last as he held her hand, and that was it. She was gone, my mum, for 15 years. My best friend, my carer, the person who believed in me the most, was gone. That was it. So, I still blame myself for her death, even though I know it's not my fault. I have this guilt that I was the one that somehow killed her. Yet it was my fault that she ended up with cancer in the first place. It's like if I just let her slept when I was in pain, that we wouldn't be in this position in the first place. And everybody keeps telling me there's nothing, it's nobody's fault, that it was just a potluck thing. But till this day, I still blame myself for her death, and even though I know there's nothing anybody could have done. So, the past 15 months have they've been a hell for me. It's been absolute punishment to have to go through the months without Mum by my side. You've been through so much. I've had my 16th birthday without her. I've had 2 hospital admissions without her. We did a family trip to Uluru. It was her dream to be able to see Jay and I see Uluru. She didn't get to see that. She doesn't get to see Jay and I grow up. So many people try and compare losing their mum, their parent, you know, when they're, 80, 90 years old, at least their mum, their dad has lived a good life. I know it's still sad and still hurts, but at least, their mum and dad would have surely, most likely would have seen them grow up, have kids of their own, get married, and say, Mum, we'll never get that, I think to my wedding day, every teenager dreams of their wedding, and the first thing that pops into my mind when they, somebody would mention, their wedding is that Mum isn't going to be there to see me walk down the aisle. Mum isn't going to be part of my bridal party. Mum isn't going to be in any of my wedding photos. Sure, my dad's going to be walking down the aisle, but it's not the same with your mum. So, I see my 18th to get through next year. I've got awareness. People on my back now keep questioning when I'm going to get my awareness. Mommy just doesn't want to get it because Mum's not here to see me get it. As much as I really want to get it. Now I got my 18th, I got my 21st. We're going to uni, TAFE, just those little things like that. And see me graduate next year. Mum isn't going to be there. So, losing someone at any age is hard. But I feel the hardest age to lose someone is when you're in your teens. Because you grew up with them for, that many years, maybe it was 15 years. You got to know them, you relied on them, and then they disappear and you know how much of a loss that was. Whereas losing someone when you say you're a baby, you don't really remember it, or when you're much older. But losing someone in your teens, when you probably most need them. And, I've always hated my mum. I was always a mummy's girl. I would half the time refuse to sleep in my own bed because I always wanted to sleep with mum. I would refuse to go to school because I always wanted to be with mum. Every time she went to the shops, I would go to the shops because I didn't want to leave her side. So, to lose her out of my life and so soon, it's been so hard, and I always put on a brave face. Everybody keeps asking me, how are you doing, Manny? And I go, yeah, I'm fine, but behind every smile is me who's not happy. There's days like tonight where I sit here going, why is God punishing me? Why am I the one that has to be punished so much? What have I done so wrong? Why should I live my life? What do I have to keep living for? And even though I will keep fighting, I will still wake up every morning and I will get out of bed and I will put a smile on my face. I do really struggle. Nobody can tell me how long grief will affect people. Grief affects people very differently. You've got my brother who just sits and plays video games all day and doesn't show much emotion, and then you've got me who's a constant blubbering mess that anything can trigger it. So it's just shit. one. Bubbling one now. We finally got round to finishing Mum's memory wall. So yesterday we went to Kmart's and grabbed a nice frame, and then today I went out and back to Kmart and printed out a heap of photos for that frame. And so the paint dried well, and so we've got the pictures up now. So you've got the black frame is our Uluru trip, so we did those canvas paintings and we did an Aboriginal painting workshop, and then I printed out some of my favourite pictures from our trip, and we just pegged it on. It gives a really nice that outback, nature look. Then the middle frame is the one that we did today, so I chose all of sort of my favourite photos of the family and of Mum. So I put that together with Dad, and then the frame at the other end was put together by Kirby, one of Mum's very close family friends. She did that as a thank you when Mum had to stop being the Victorian State School Spectacular Coordinator at our primary school. So everything up there has a meaning, and then the very top canvas, Mum did a print of back sort of around when she first got sick, or even beforehand. She loved that family photo of us, so I thought that had to go on the wall in memory of her. But each thing, definitely the white frame in the middle, is going to be a keeper. Like, I will keep that forever. That frame means a lot to me. And then here I did prints of myself, so I have this photo box that I put together, a memory photo box, and it all has my favourites, also pictures of Mum. So I've got this one, and that's probably the nicest one of her. You could tell how sick she looks in that. Her hair was thinning a lot, so we had to cut it short. She was constantly hanging out in sort of her PJs and lightweight pants. I had that same jumper that was, we called it our connecting jumper, so every time she was in hospital she would wear it, and then I would wear the same one wherever I was, and that meant that we would always be connected. So I still wear that jumper. I've only recently started wearing it again. At first I couldn't bear to put it on, but I do. So many different family photos here. I'm trying to find the one. This one is my favourite one of us too. This was taken in Singapore, and that's my go-to pic when people ask, show me a picture of your mum and yourself. That's the one that I love. That I've laminated one that sits up on my door, but these two will probably go in my locker at school, because she's always with me. But yeah, so I've got so many different photos and things in here from back when probably year 3, even later baby pictures. There's all sorts of stuff in here. I did mini pictures for Mum. that's what kept me sane while she was in hospital. They went, every time she went in hospital, I would add to the collection. Got to the point where I started printing photos out because I got sick of colouring in pictures. And so when she was cremated, I sent a photo of Bailey with her, so when she would always have Bailey. So when Bailey does die, and hopefully not for a while, I'm gonna make sure that her ashes also get spread down with Mum, so then Mum and Bailey are back together again. So Mum was obsessed with Pooh Bear, so I did Pooh Bear pictures with her. I got given at her wake, I'd asked the family for some pictures of Mum to add to some photo boards that I was putting together. So there's some ones of Mum when she was sort of, I'd say, my age. So, you know, I've kept those. I don't know if we look alike or not, but people say there is some resemblance in there, but Dad's got most of their other pictures as well, so I've kept that. Dad started to go through some of their stuff in the lounge room and sort of doing a bit of a clean up. I guess we are moving at the end of next year, so it is creeping up on us. We're sort of getting prepared just sort of, you know, with that. So there's some stuff that will go back to like my nana and my aunts, stuff that, you know, sort of either Jay and I don't want, and it was pre-Daddy, so she was part of the Girl Guide, so there's a heap of stuff with that will go back because my aunts were part of the Girl Guides and my nana was as well, so they would want that stuff, and everything else that Dad didn't really want, I insisted on keeping, even though it was pre-Dad and pre-her having us. I've created a memory box. There's a box that wasn't being used, so stuff that I've wanted to keep have gone in there. So there's sort of a box in a box, so I've got a box of things that I made for her, that once again always went to every hospital visit and stuff like that. So what kept me sane was making stuff for Mum. So I thought I had to keep all that, couldn't bear to throw any of it away. Then I've got the photos in this box. There's some old tapes of Mum when she was an outdoorsy person, so whitewater rafting, skydiving. Dad put their wedding tapes in there as well, old production scripts from when we were in primary school and she would help out, some meaningful stuff, so we can always look back on. And then Dad's kept a box of letters that people wrote, cards and things, so that's also been put away. So, and then yeah, now that we've done that memory wall, it's kind of bringing Mum back into the house, but it still doesn't feel the same without her. It still doesn't feel right that, you know, each day goes on and she's not here with us to see it. So now that I've had my cry for the night, now I'm gonna go and probably wash my face, do my skincare routine. Just still need to post a video of, by the way, still need to do that for you. And yeah, I was gonna take my meds, some pain relief for my pain, and climb into bed and yeah, I guess hopefully get a good night's sleep. And I hope you guys too have a good sleep, and a good day tomorrow. And yeah, I hope you don't blabber as much as me in this video. But I hope you guys are all well. So, bye.
Do you do in heaven? Are your